Let's get into some more hard politics, though. So you're running for office, Robby. Where are you running for office, and for what office are you running?
Tennessee in the 5th Congressional District. This almost looks like a story that might be in my race.
So the big story around you is that you were endorsed by Trump, right? Or
No.
He endorsed the other.
He endorsed the other one, yeah, and people got very angry about
Wrong.
it. Yeah,
Wrong.
Very wrong.
Yeah, big mistake.
Love the guy, but I think he actually did not realize that this was the race I was in when he made an endorsement.
The big story was that it appears it's the Republicans, right? They're trying to stop you from being able to run for office.
So they're trying to stop Morgan, and initially were trying to stop me too, but they didn't realize how long I had lived in the state. So this bill that they passed actually doesn't apply to me because I've been a resident of Tennessee over 3 years by the time of the election, which is what the amended law is.
So let's break this down for us. Like, you're running for office. How does it happen that they're trying to block you from being able to run for office?
Well, basically,
and you're like a Trump supporter, populist.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the problem, right? Is that I don't answer to them. I have no favors that I owe anybody, and that's the most dangerous thing in politics: is somebody running who doesn't owe anybody favors. So there's a lot of sort of people who've been there for a long time in the political establishment who are very threatened by this guy showing up out of nowhere, crushing it in polls, having hundreds to thousands of people at every event. And they're just like, what the heck is going on here? We may have a problem on our hands, because if he's able to do that, then he could turn those people out in races that we're in, and I think that's where the mental calculus goes. But then, Morgan came out too, and Trump endorsed her. And I think they kind of felt a similar way with her, but a little different. It wasn't so much the populist fear, but more so the fear of like, hey, you're not from here. This should be for somebody from here, And I think it's a little wrong-headed. I understand the instincts some of them have, because you want somebody to represent the district who actually has the state's interests in mind and who understands the people, and I agree with that. But when you look at what they did here, it's just the same sort of disgusting, sneaky politics that people hate, where, you play by the rules, and if you're winning, then we change the rules. It's like Wall Street bets, Like if you're winning, suddenly it's like, no, the rules need to change, and now you need to win by these rules.
And what they changed is, you were saying before that they have a law that says you have to have lived in the state for 3 years.
3 years until election day. And so for the people who don't know the difference between the races and stuff, because it is a little confusing, in like House rep races, you can have those qualifications because it's a state office. The state gets to set the qualifications. For federal office, though, for U.S. Congress, which is what I'm running for, or for Senate, on the Senate side or House side of Congress, you cannot do that as a state. At least constitutionally, there's the qualifications clause. It's very clear. You just have to be 25 years old. And, there's nothing about you needing to be a resident of the state for X amount of years. You just need to be a U.S. citizen. And so that's where I think they got it wrong with this. I do think it's a matter of, does somebody want to challenge it in court or not? And I don't know if they'll want to. I don't need to, because it doesn't affect me. But I think some people have a mindset where they say states should get to decide this sort of thing. And if they have that mindset, maybe they walk away from the race, and say, all right, I'll try to do something else. But, if they were doing it to me and it did affect me, I would fight like hell.
I do see the purpose of a bill. You don't want some random person, maybe somebody who was, I don't know, governor of Massachusetts or something, or so whatever.
Or like a spokesperson for some agency,
or like a former
like
governor, like flying to another state and then running for Senate or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, you don't live here. You don't really represent us. But I suppose the response I typically get is people can vote for whoever they want.
Exactly. Well, this is what my argument is, and it's kind of counterintuitive because, I'm almost shooting myself in the foot. I maybe shouldn't say this, but even though it doesn't affect me, I have a principle problem with this. Like, just if I'm being consistent with my values, my morals, I think this is wrong. If we care about election integrity, we should care about people deciding elections. I don't want to boot somebody from a race against me and beat them by proxy because they got kicked out. I want to beat them on election day with people voting for me more often than they vote for them. And that's how it should be in our elections. You should be able to count on that you're going to be able to get the real choices.
But there's so much dirty.
There is. It's a dirty business. And that's... I talked about this with a couple members actually this week, and there's no business like this where you're expected to stab your friends in the back on a constant basis.
Why would you want to be in Congress?
Well, so for me, it's one of those things where I'm looking at it from a state of not what is good for me, but a state of function of what's good for my kids. And I realize that if we continue this same pattern of having these career politicians, same lawyers from same schools, same sort of sets of values, and we keep sending them there, we're living the definition of insanity. This is just the same thing over and over again. And have we not learned the lesson? So I said, you know what? I have nothing to lose. We're going to go try, and we're going to run a campaign that is everything that I believe in, and I'm not going to owe anybody anything. And it's sort of like, for me, I look back and I think back to when I first got super engaged in politics, and it was Ron Paul. And I say, what would have happened to our country had Ron Paul become president?
I'm just imagining everyone holding hands and singing Under a Rainbow. Everyone's pockets bursting with cash
and guns,
gold,
guns and gold, guns and gold.
We'd probably be a crypto economy right now.
No, we'd be a gold.
No
we'd be a
wars.
gold back. Yep.
Yeah.
No Fed. The Fed would have been destroyed. But seriously, if you think about it,
so wealthy and advanced, Ron Paul would be a cyborg by now.
He would. He'd be a cyborg. He'd be, he would have bought CNN and turned it into something wonderful. Be like the Great Dane Channel
to
or
run
something.
a third time, but he would have refused and stepped down.
Yeah, he would have had to have refused. Yes.
I have to be honest, though. Obviously, it wouldn't be a utopia, but I do think it would be a little bit similar to Donald Trump.